Blackburn, Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Director. Thank you for your commitment. We had a residential reentry center called Mahoney Holly for various reasons. It closed September 30th, 2019, and since then, we have been in touch with the Bureau to reestablish a reentry center. Can you give me an update on where we are? And I don't know why it's taking this long. Could you tell me why and what we can do to move things along? Because these reentry centers are very important. As the chairman noted most of the people who are incarcerated are released into the community, and you know that the work of these centers is to enable them to get back into the community. So could you give me an update on what's happening regarding Hawaii?
Thank you, Senator. You are absolutely spot on. Those residential reentry centers are something that really is special to the Bureau and allows us to improve reentry and make those good neighbors, like I said, specifically to the contract that we had on Honolulu. I do know that we've reissued the RFP multiple times, both for the residential facility. It's currently out for review again, as is the day reporting center. So I know that that's in the middle of the procurement process as well. When we've issued the RFP before, we didn't have anyone respond to the solicitation.
So what can we do if there's nobody? This is a facility that have been open for 30 years, and suddenly nobody responds to an RFP. What can we do in this situation?
Thank you, Senator. I don't have an answer for you today, but I do know that we have people at the Bureau as concerned as you are about providing that next step into reentry for Hawaii.
But if you don't have somebody responding to the RFP, then we are left with where we are. So it's that part that I would like us to address.
Thank you.
And if there's something that I can do, I'd like to work with you all to find somebody who can do this.
Thank you, Senator.
So I am alarmed by the reports of misconduct and sexual violence committed by BOT employees or contractors. And I note that you had said in your opening statement that it is really important for you to hire the right people. So before you hire people to be prison staff, do you have a way where you can ascertain whether these are people who might potentially engage in sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, or retaliation?
Thank you, Senator. We do have a screening tool that looks at finding those individuals who have a propensity to succeed inside a cultural corrections environment. It helps us get to those principles that you're speaking to, but it's not 100% effective, clearly, hence the situations and the cases that you've read about.
And you certainly wouldn't hire anybody who has some kind of a history of sexual harassment, abuse, or misconduct.
That's correct, Senator.
So getting back to the incidents of sexual violence, you do have people who are in your custody who become pregnant. In July, Senator Schatz and I led a letter to HHS, DOJ, and DHS requesting that justice-involved people receive full and proper consideration in the implementation of President Biden's executive order on protecting access to reproductive health care services. What support, if any, does the BOP offer to survivors of sexual violence who are in your custody?
Thank you, Senator. We have psychologists throughout the organization that would provide mental health care for the victims of those situations.
So has the Bureau taken any action to protect access to reproductive health care, including abortions?
Sorry, Senator, can you repeat the question?
What has the Bureau done to protect access to reproductive health care, including abortions, for those people in your custody who are pregnant as a result of rape?
Those individuals who are in our custody still have access to abortions when they request them. We do pay for those abortions in the instances of rape.
I'm glad to hear that. So relating to Native youth in BOP juvenile justice systems, over the last decade, many reports in Hawaii pointed toward the over-representation of Native Hawaiian youth in our juvenile justice system. In 2011, a study found that while Native Hawaiian youth accounted for about 30% of Hawaii's youth population, they accounted for about 46% of detention home admissions. And at the time, Native Hawaiian girls accounted for about 52% of those detained. And this July, through the work with Kawailoa Youth and Family Wellness Center and many others involved, it's really been a whole of a person kind of a process. It was announced that Hawaii had no girls in juvenile detention, and we certainly have more work to do with regard to the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiian youth in the juvenile population. So, what work is the Bureau doing to ensure the federal juvenile justice system works to reduce its own populations, and how is it integrating restorative justice like what we are seeing in Hawaii?
Well, as the former director of the Oregon Youth Authority, you are speaking a lot of my philosophy that I'm familiar with, but as the director of the Bureau of Prisons, that wouldn't be under our purview.
Whose jurisdiction would that be under?
I don't know the answer to that, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Hirono.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have 30 seconds?
Senator Grassley is recognized for 30
Yeah,
seconds.
just to follow up on something that you said in your opening statement that I didn't know how complete it was. The Bureau